I'm personally, I'm always looking for something that I haven't seen before. I like, you know, whether it's it doesn't mean you have to be the best at drawing or anything like that. It's just about how you convey the feeling and the atmosphere of anything that you're illustrating. Because there's a difference between drawing and illustrating. You can be very, very good at drawing and not so great at illustrating. You can be very, very good at illustrating but not so great at drawing, and somehow there's a merge between the two.
Well, the best way to submit it really is in a dummy form, either by email obviously, which is PDFs or something along those lines, or people post dummies in. Because my feeling is if they're going to illustrate and write, then they need to show us that they can bring the two aspects of picture book making together.
Essentially, and what's really come through over the last few years is, I mean, people want a very, very strong narrative, so it has to be a story with a beginning and a middle and an end.
But if we don't know the artist's work at all, then it would be useful to see one or two full colour images, just so we can get a sense of how the artist uses colour, how they balance out the action of the characters alongside the background.
Sometimes we talk about the perfect picture book, and when you've made the perfect picture book, you've got everything in the book right, and it goes in a directly straight line to the reader who's exactly the right age for it. Sometimes people beginning this work forget that they're working for children.
The whole process is very organic, it grows, changes all the time. And so it's very important for the artist to feel like, well, they need to be flexible and realise, this is very important, that whatever they submit won't get published just as it is. That really isn't how it works. So that anything they submit will be a very early stage piece of work. So a sketch dummy is absolutely adequate. And then when people come in, I often ask them to bring a sketchbook if they've got them, because I think we just like that informality of them and just to see how they work in that respect. And I can think of 2 or 3 occasions, or perhaps more, where we've looked at the portfolio and we thought very beautiful, and then we've looked in the sketchbook and someone's turned the page, oh, there's a lovely little dog in the corner of this page and it's got real character and real liveliness, and I say, oh yeah, that's a nice character, you know, why don't you think about doing something with that?
We don't really follow trends, because trends by themselves, to be trendy is to be ephemeral. Not so interested in style or what's very current. It's really about trying to make books, picture books that resonate.
In all territories, for example, one of the things to keep away from is alphabet books. Because, of course, in translation, A is for apple does not translate in French, for example. Then, of course, there's poetry that really doesn't translate very well.
I hate to say it really, rhyming is not a very sensible thing. Of course, there are some very famous and wonderful rhyming books, so there's always a, you know, to every rule there's always an alternative. But it seems to me sometimes people fixate on the rhyme and not the story.
The real secret is to find the people that are original, have original voices, and they look original as well. And they have a facility and a desire to make books for small